I'm 5 News meteorologist Danny Cassidy. After a very nice weekend, today is going to be more of the same, maybe a little bit more muggy and maybe a little bit more warm, but in terms of, or a little bit warmer, I should say. But generally speaking, it's going to be a pretty nice day to kick off the work week for our first Monday of August. So we'll go through futurecast. We'll see some puffy cumulus clouds develop later this afternoon and maybe a stray shower or two. Again, can't absolutely rule it out, but the majority of us stay dry. But just something to keep an eye on that, especially in the higher terrain areas, maybe you could see a little bit of wet drop or two on your pavement. Otherwise, for tonight, we'll have mostly clear skies, have a quiet night overnight, and then for tomorrow, we're going to do just like we did today. Start off with some sunshine, then during the afternoon, those puffy cumulus clouds will develop, maybe seeing a stray shower in some areas. A little bit of a better look of this, but still the vast majority of us stay dry. And then during the evening around sunset, that'll taper off. Then we'll have a quiet night Tuesday night, heading into the day on Wednesday. Overall for today, high temperatures will be in the mid-80s in northwest Arkansas. The vast majority of the river valley in the low 90s, but some in a little bit higher terrain could be more in the upper 80s. We'll have partly cloudy skies with that stray shower during the afternoon and very light winds. For tonight, low temperatures will be in the low to mid 60s in northwest Arkansas. Some of that higher elevation could be close to the upper 50s. In the river valley in the upper 60s and maybe a couple low 70s with mostly clear skies and a light wind. Then for tomorrow, we'll slowly crank up the heat a little bit. High temperatures in the upper 80s in northwest Arkansas. Some could flirt with 90 degrees. In the river valley in the lower 90s, some more in the mid 90s, depending on where you are. Mostly sunny during the morning and maybe that stray shower during the afternoon with very light winds. After that, we have a couple of things to keep an eye on as we go throughout the rest of this week. The first is going to be more of that wildfire smoke. Now here's a look, kind of a futurecast look at around noon of what the outline is going to be. So that Canadian wildfire smoke is staying more to the north and to the east. You notice the upper pattern of the atmosphere is kind of what judges where this moves. You notice the arrows there in Canada is sweeping down from the north here on the northeast side of the country and sweeping down more towards the Great Lakes and the New England areas. So that will stay off to the northeast. However, there is more wildfires burning into portions of Arizona, near the Grand Canyon region, as well as off the west coast here. So with the high pressure sitting basically right over Arizona and New Mexico, and it rotates that air clockwise, the arrows are going to basically follow it right towards us into portions of eastern Oklahoma and northwest Arkansas. So what that means for us is some of that smoke could return for us as we head later into the week. So let's go through what it'll look like here for the next couple of days. Again, not expecting too much out of this. I think we'll see those clear skies in terms of, no haze. But as we head into Tuesday afternoon, this is where we see it approach in eastern Oklahoma, see some of those yellows and greens pop up, and then especially as we head into late Tuesday night, early Wednesday, a little bit of that thicker smoke, more in the oranges and possibly even the reds. You see that near Tulsa and higher up on the scale. How much of this actually hits the surface will be another question, because usually if you have a cold front swing through, that cold air sinks and that will allow it to reach the surface. This looks like it'll stay more elevated, but something we're keeping an eye on as we go throughout. The other consequence of that high pressure in the middle of the atmosphere being just off to our west is also bringing in some warmer air. As we always talk about, again, if you're sitting under this ridge pattern, it usually means it's going to be hot and it's going to be dry. And as that builds, it is going to bring itself eastward, and we're going to be more under that ridge. So you notice Tuesday, but especially on Wednesday, look at that ridge now. You can see it's broadening quite a bit for the western half of the country. So anywhere underneath here is going to be pretty hot and dry compared to normal. And that's going to be the case certainly for us here in the 5 News coverage area. And unfortunately, that also means as long as this pattern's here, as long as those wildfires keep burning, we'll continue to have that chance of that smoke heading our way. So you notice that pattern doesn't really break up very much, kind of sits basically in the desert southwest. So as long as it's doing that, again, we'll have the chance of hot and dry conditions, as well as some of that wildfire smoke. That low pressure off to the north, I wish it was lower for us because that would give us some rain chances as well as some cooler conditions, but that's going to stay off to that north. So what it's going to do is it's going to build up the air temperatures, humidity will rise a little bit, and that'll lead to more of the feels like factor starting on Wednesday, where it could feel as hot as 100, so nothing that we can't handle, but it'd be more widespread 100 temperatures, or 100 feels like, for Thursday, and especially on Friday, which may constitute the need of a heat advisory, especially for the river valley. The humidity as well will rise a little bit. It's not going to be a night and day difference today and tomorrow. It's going to be about the same, but into Wednesday and especially I think Thursday and Friday, we could be flirting with the low 70s. So not as hot and humid as it was to end July, but still pretty hot and humid nonetheless. As I mentioned, you notice that low in the middle of the atmosphere dip down into the kind of the northwest portion of the country. You see it's below normal there, but that's really the only spot besides the southeast where it's near normal. Otherwise, much of the country is at or above normal, especially including here in the portions of our neck of the woods, and especially in the desert southwest where that high high pressure is greatest. In terms of rain potential, it is trending a little bit above normal, not by much, for the end of this weekend into early next week. We could see maybe a rain chance starting on Sunday. Before then, though, it's looking pretty dry. Notice that only a very stray shower chance for today, tomorrow, and Wednesday during the afternoon. Those kind of usual pop-ups where, again, vast majority of us stay dry, but those could see maybe a little bit of rain on their doorstep. Otherwise, high temperatures are going to be back into the mid-90s for Northwest Arkansas. Remember, normal this time of year is about 90, so we're 3 to 4 degrees above that. Again, not as humid, but still pretty warm and muggy nonetheless. For the River Valley, those high temperatures approaching the upper 90s, especially on Friday. And as I mentioned, that rain chance could be Sunday next week, but again, it's still not expected to be too great of a chance. So for now, we're stuck in a hot and dry pattern. Before then, though, for today and tomorrow, looking pretty nice to kick off the first full week of August.